Good evening. My name is Jill Cohen. I am a member of the League of Women Voters of Washtenaw County. Welcome to our online forum tonight featuring candidates for Mayor of Ann Arbor. These candidates will be on the ballot in the primary election on Tuesday, August 2nd. The League of Women Voters works to expand voter rights and educate voters. We are a nonpartisan organization and neither endorse nor oppose candidates or political parties. The League is providing this forum as an opportunity for candidates to express their views related to their candidacy. The League does not certify any candidate responses to questions as accurate. Voters are encouraged to fact-check information shared at the forum. We bring you tonight's forum because we believe that respectful sharing of views on community issues is vital to the functioning of American democracy. Our moderator this evening is Joan Semperi, who will explain the format and get us started.
Thank you, Ms. Cohen. Now it's my honor to introduce the candidates running in the Democratic Party for Ann Arbor Mayor, Ann Bannister and Christopher Taylor. Thank you, candidates, for participating in this forum. Let me go over the format that we will follow. Each candidate will have an opening statement of up to 1 minute. Each candidate will also have a closing statement of up to 90 seconds. In between, I'll ask questions that came from the community. Each of you will have 2 minutes to respond to a question. At appropriate times, the timer will raise a sign on her screen indicating the time remaining, 30 seconds, and then stop. If you've used up your time, you'll be allowed to finish your sentence, and then your microphone will be muted so that the other candidate will have an equal opportunity to participate. Candidates will begin speaking in alphabetical order by last name. Each will have an opportunity to be the first or the last to answer the questions. And for the opening statement, we'll begin with Ms. Bannister, but we will use the same format for the closing statements so that each will have a chance to either go first or go last. And now, Ms. Bannister, would you like to begin your opening statement?
Thank you. I'm Ann Bannister, and I'm running for mayor so that Ann Arbor has a choice for citizen-led governance, a greener, more sustainable city, inclusive and affordable housing, and a choice for a better future. My opponent and I differ on how we plan to address the challenges facing the city. The last few years have been plagued by a lack of transparency on how things get done at the city, and regular people have been feeling like their voices don't matter. My vision for Ann Arbor is one where the people feel like they are a valuable and integral part of the process. Too often, local government has ignored public input only to make irreversible mistakes that could have been avoided. If elected, I'll use my skills and experience to help us avoid mistakes and set policies that protect and enhance our community benefits and provide unquestionable inclusivity for everyone.
Thank you. Mr. Taylor.
Thanks. I'm Christopher Taylor, the mayor of Ann Arbor. It's been my honor to serve as your mayor since 2014. Now, mayor's a part-time job here, and so I'm also a lawyer, helping individuals, families, and small businesses right there on Main Street. I came to Ann Arbor for college, married a townie, and we have 2 amazing college-age children, the proud products of Ann Arbor Public Schools. We live on the same block as my parents and also my in-laws. I'm a practical, progressive Democrat, and I would be so grateful for your vote by absentee ballot or at the polls on August 2nd. So many of you tell me that you love Ann Arbor, and I do too. I help to make it the best it can be by focusing on 2 goals: improving basic services, enhancing quality of life. Improving basic services means clean, safe drinking water, better roads, police, fire, natural areas, parks, reduce flooding. Enhancing quality of life means affordable housing, living our values always, and climate action. I'm proud of what we've accomplished so far, but there is so much more to come and so much more to do, and I can't wait to do it for you and for everyone.
Thank you. And now to the questions. I'll read the question once, and I won't repeat it unless you've asked me to. We'll begin with Mr. Taylor. Would you identify the top 3 concerns that residents of Ann Arbor have expressed to you? If you're elected, describe the steps you would take to address one of those concerns.
That's a great question. Folks come to me and they talk about all the things that they love about the city, but they tend to focus on the basics. They know that we need to always improve our infrastructure. They need that our water needs to be clean, our roads need to be better, and we're working on those things. We're working, of course, to improve our water treatment plant through diligent planning. We're working to improve our roads. We've just passed a road bond, and over the next 2 years, you will see a lot of work done on our roads, particularly our local streets. People also talk about public safety. They want to make sure that police and fire that they are there when you call them and that they do their job with professionalism and bravery. They also want to make sure that the parks are maintained and they're kept beautiful. And all these things are things that we absolutely need to do. We also, our residents tell me, need to work on affordability, sustainability, and equity. These are items that I'm going to constantly continue to focus on. With respect to affordability, our main point of entry as a municipal organization is on housing. We have the opportunity to build thousands of units of new, permanent, affordable housing that we can do on city-owned parcels. And I'm committed to voting yes to doing that. With respect to equity, I'm committed to making sure that we have an unarmed response program. Not every call to 911 is an emergency. And sometimes it's better off when someone who is not there with a weapon shows up when someone needs government help. This is an initiative that I've started, and I am so excited to help bring it forward. And finally, our biggest challenge, both at the city and of course as a planet, is sustainability. I am 100% committed to our A20 program. We'll talk a lot more about it. It's not something that is, it's not sentimental, it's scientific. It means being diligent and moving forward and committed to working on electrification, to working on improving solar arrays, both on the community level and the rooftops. It means recycling, composting, particularly in our multifamily units and multifamily homes. Those are some of the things that I'll be doing to work on sustainability in our community.
Thank you. And Ms. Bannister, will you unmute and answer that question too, please?
Thank you. Well, my top 3 goals include to sharpen pencils, not knives, so that we can problem solve together on the many complex and interrelated issues facing our city. I will provide opportunities for listening and true dialogue with all community members. I'll use existing tax dollars to provide better basic services, and will keep residents informed of progress on issues from our road repairs and conditions, to cleanup of our Gelman plume, to carbon neutrality and better land stewardship of our woodlands and mature trees. And I will also address the organizational and cultural inefficiencies within City Hall, which left unaddressed will significantly hinder our ability to meet any of our long-term goals, from housing affordability to more diversity among city staff and leadership. In all cases, we need more transparency, feedback loops, and data-driven decision-making. We need to ensure inclusivity for everyone, and that City Hall is a welcoming and efficient experience when people engage with local government. I agree that climate action is one of our #1 priorities, and I look forward to helping make the city a more resilient and sustainable place in an equitable way that doesn't price residents out of the city. We're looking for practical solutions like weatherization of our big leaky buildings and our residences, better stormwater management as we receive greater rain downpours. And with our climate action, we need to strengthen our metrics and measurements of success. studies have shown that our greenest buildings are our existing buildings, and it can take 10 to 80 years. Thank you.
Thank you very much. For our second question, Ms. Bannister will ask you to go first. Ann Arbor home prices continue to increase, with the median price of a home now over $430,000, according to reporting from MLive. What are the respective roles of city government and private market forces in addressing the shortage of housing, especially affordable units? And do you think the new accessory dwelling unit standards will help?
Well, thank you. Yes, we're lucky to live here with a great university, but because of the world-class university, it has helped to put pressure on our housing prices. And residents tell me that they could not repurchase their home at the current fair market values that we're having today. So, and with it also the recurring property taxes and water rate fees and things on top of it. So one of the things I would like to do is work on regional solutions and restore our meetings with city council and the university regents and leadership. Again, we need to sharpen pencils, not knives, and look at our shared housing and climate action priorities. There's creative solutions out there, such as cooperative housing options that have been very successful around town at Arrowwood and Colonial Square. And so we need to pay more attention to those, as those are attractive to both new homeowners and seniors, and looking for creative mortgage options like the Neighborhood Assistance Corporation of America, NACA, that helps with mortgages. I think the accessory dwelling units is a possibility for some people. However, we find that they are very expensive to build. And I'm also concerned about their impact on our mature trees and woodlands if we have to destroy trees in order to put the accessory dwelling units in. And furthermore, I'm concerned about with our transit corridor zoning, the upzoning that's coming through, where we're creating by right irrevocable blank checks for developers without including community benefits.
Thank you very much. Mr. Taylor.
Thank you. Residents talk to me about affordability all the time. Housing affordability is a crisis in our town. And I get it. And it is a challenge that has risen over the course of years. And it's not something that we at the city or really anyone is going to be addressed in the short term. We have to think long term. Fundamentally, we have a housing crisis in Ann Arbor because supply demand is not a joke. Supply and demand is the law, and we have to understand it, and we have to act accordingly. More people work in Ann Arbor. More people want to live in Ann Arbor than currently do live in Ann Arbor. And so we have a housing problem. With respect to affordable housing, that is to say, housing that is designated as affordable by the federal government according with the federal definition, we have a lot of work to do and we have a lot of opportunity, and I'm incredibly excited to say yes to these things. The voters thankfully passed a millage just a few short years ago, and we as a city, thanks to an initiative that I laid out with Councilmember Ackerman, have designated about 10 city-owned parcels upon which we are going to build new permanent affordable housing. This is going to be affordable housing for folks who are under a certain income level permanently. And this is going to make a big dent, but it's not going to be enough. It's not going to be enough because, middle income folks too want to be able to come in Ann Arbor, live in Ann Arbor, move around within Ann Arbor, and they just don't have the houses to do it. They just don't have the homes to do it. And that's why we need to say yes when private owners want to build housing. We don't have to say yes everywhere, but we have to be committed to saying yes to work on this. One place we can do it is on transit corridors, on bus routes. If we enable property owners on bus routes to build residential housing, mixed use housing, commercial businesses, residential housing, these folks will be new residents in Ann Arbor, attainable prices within the community because of the nature of the location. And I think it'll make a dent in housing prices over time.
Thank you very much. Mr. Taylor, we'll come back to you for this next question.
Yeah.
And it's somewhat related to the previous one. MLive reports that the city of Ann Arbor's population increased 8.7% from 2010 to 2020. Do you predict this level of population growth, and will it continue in the current decade? And is such growth desirable?
I'm not a demographer, and so I don't know. I do know that we have a housing crisis and an affordability crisis. And I know, as we talked about a little earlier, that supply and demand is real. And we need to acknowledge it and act accordingly. We can't just put our heads in the sand and wish that Ann Arbor were different. We have a place where people want to live. We have a place where people come to work. And I'm proud of our community, our neighborhoods, and our economy. We have a thriving home, and I'm excited about it moving forward. In order to accommodate people who work here and may wish to live here and want to come live here, there needs to be housing. Some of that housing is going to be city built. As I said before, we are committed. I am committed to saying yes to housing, yes to senior housing, yes to affordable housing, yes to building these units on city-owned parcels swiftly and well so that we can address this problem on the upfront. But that also is not going to be enough. When private developers come to us with affordable housing in cooperation with Avalon or other well-known nonprofits, we need to say yes. When developers come and they're on bus routes, they want to build in transit corridors, they want to build more units where people can live, generally farther away from established neighborhoods, then we need to say yes. Because again, supply and demand is not a joke. Supply and demand is real. And it is to really everybody's benefit when these units are constructed. It's further to everyone's benefit because we would be building them on bus routes. That way, folks would be able to come in and out of town without a car. If they work here, they can take the bus in, they can ride in as we improve our cycling infrastructure, our design for roads for all users. This reduces traffic, it reduces congestion, it improves our carbon footprint and reduces people's commute. It's really, I think, a solution that we're looking for, and I'm excited about bringing it forward.
Thank you. Ms. Bannister, will you unmute and answer the same question?
Yes, well, I think your question is that is it acceptable that our population is growing? And yes, I think it is, but I also think we need to be thoughtful and careful about how we do that. We need to, again, look at regional solutions and work with our partners in Washtenaw County and at U of M and at the statewide housing program, the MISHDA programs that are coming out of Lansing. So I look forward to working robustly with our community partners. Also, with regards to the transit corridor zoning that is moving quickly through City Hall, the intent of affordable housing and getting people out of their vehicles is good. However, the way this program, this zoning, this unzoning and upzoning, if you will, is being rolled out is a good idea done wrong. As Winston Churchill once said, we shape our buildings and thereafter they shape us. We are, the way transit corridor zoning is written, we are creating the very by right situations where residents do not have a voice in later saying that they would like more community benefits. We're creating an irrevocable blank check. Some of the community benefits that I would like required in our upzoning would be affordable housing, so that the taxpayers don't have to pay for all of that, that the developers help kick down parking so that we aren't externalizing the developer costs onto the neighborhoods. I'd like to see community benefits for green space and true mixed use retail and shopping. I'd also like an expectation that housing will actually be built. And I would like for thank you.
Thank you. How about, would you please, beginning with Ms. Bannister, tell us a time when you made a difficult personal or professional decision because of a core value that you hold?
That gets to the issue of ethics. And I don't believe, I would probably libel myself if I gave a specific case study of a difficult personal decision where I stood up to do the right thing at the expense of someone else's interest. But I will say that as a certified financial planner for 22 years, part of being certified by the board of certified planners is that every 2 years we have to review our ethics continuing education credits. And so I am very up to speed on rules such as transparency, full disclosure, accountability, plain language communications, being a fiduciary for whether it's clients that you're planning with or in city business, whether it's the residents. By fiduciary, I mean acting in the residents' best interest, not the interest of elite landowners or developers. And also just following the golden rule of ethics, which is treating others the way you would like to be treated. So that comes back to, while I served on council, I saw a lot of sad faces up at City Hall where established neighborhoods and residents were not being listened to and were being cut out of the process. And I would represent them successfully in many cases. So I feel that ethics needs to be front and center and unquestionable up at City Hall and in local government.
Thank you very much. And this is our final question. Mr. Taylor, would you answer that one for us, please?
Sure. Anybody that knows me knows that that I just don't like to fight. I don't like conflict. I don't like engaging in conflict. It's not something that drives me. I thrive on courtesy and cooperation and goodwill all around, even with people that I disagree with. We've had some instances of council members who have acted in a manner that required confrontation. We had a council member this fairly recently post a vulgar screed against journalists, which included homophobic slurs. That same council member voiced the N-word on the record with an African-American reporter afterwards. We've had council members that required a response and was going to be a fight on the council floor, and I don't like doing that at all, but it was the right thing to do. We've had council members who have acted in a manner inconsistent with their obligations in other contexts, and that has required me as mayor to take action, and that has creates bad blood on the body, and it creates conflict in the populace, and it's just sad, because we as council members, we should always be putting our best foot forward. We are representing the city, and we need to, and when people act poorly, I think what we have to do as council members, what I needed to do as mayor, was stand up for vulnerable populations, stand up for our following of our closed session rules, even if it meant discord at the council table. Those sorts of decisions, taking those steps, it was obviously the right thing to do. I didn't have difficulty in making the decision, but it was an unpleasant one because of the consequences.
Thank you very much. And now it's time for closing statements. We'll begin with Ms. Bannister.
Well, thank you. If I'm elected mayor, I'll help us avoid mistakes and set policies that protect and enhance our community benefits and provide inclusivity for everyone. My opponent and I differ on how to address the challenges facing the city, including making housing affordable for the majority of residents who can't afford to move into luxury housing, moving forward on our A20 climate action plan in a way that doesn't place an unfair burden on vulnerable community members, establishing an unarmed emergency response unit so that everyone feels safe asking for help when they need it, and working harder on land stewardship because we owe it to future generations to leave our green space and ecosystems in better shape than we found them. My vision for Ann Arbor is one where people are an integral part of the process. Let's use better feedback loops and evaluation of our decisions. Let's make sure local government is welcoming, transparent, data-driven, and efficient when people come to City Hall. In everything we do, let's ask, where's the public benefit and who benefits? Let's together be good trouble and make a positive difference. Please spread the word that Ann Arbor has a choice for citizen-led governance, a greener, more sustainable city, inclusive and affordable housing, and a choice for a better future.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor.
Thanks very much. Improving basic services, enhancing quality of life for you, the residents. Improving basic services means a constant focus on the bottom line. It means clean, safe drinking water, better roads. We just passed a road bond and you will see work on local streets over the next 2 years. A lot of it. It means police and fire, beautiful natural areas and parks, streets that are designed safe for all users. It means flooding improvements. Enhancing quality of life means affordability, equity, and sustainability. Supply and demand is real, and there are no magic solutions to housing affordability, but more housing over time will improve affordability for everyone. We need, and I will vote for, thousands of units of new, permanent, city-built housing, affordable housing. We also need to enable more attainable apartments on bus routes. Not every call to 911 is an emergency or requires a person with a weapon, and that is why I initiated our effort to develop an unarmed response program. You'll see that program up and running after a full community engagement. It is our moral obligation to take local action on climate change. Our A20 plan is scientific, equity-driven, and it will provide benefits to Ann Arborites today and tomorrow. Expanded recycling and composting, community and rooftop solar, low-income resident grants, EV support, and a public utility if we can afford it. Now, I've been, and with your help, I will continue to be, a mayor that stands up for equity, diversity, inclusion, who advocates for the neediest among us, who is constantly focused on how we at City Hall can make Ann Arbor better for you and for everyone. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you to both of you for participating in this valuable session. Jill Cohen will now provide closing comments.
The League thanks the candidates for participating in tonight's forum, and we also thank those who contributed the questions. All of our candidate forums are available for streaming from our website, lwvwashtenaw.org. The forums can also be viewed on Ann Arbor's cable television news. Please urge others to watch these forums and share the links with them. For additional nonpartisan information on candidates and ballot issues, go to vote411.org, the League's voter resource guide covering local, state, and federal candidates and current ballot proposals. As a reminder, all voters are now eligible to cast an absentee ballot, and Michigan law provides for Election Day registration. Whether by absentee ballot or in person, please vote in the August 2nd primary election.